Welcome to the Orbital Drop Shock podcast. I'm Jared, your host, and today we are talking about Halo Initiation. So, little context. This is the pre-Halo 4 storyline. Now, the reason why I'm covering this now, it was pre-Halo 4 and we just had Halo Infinite, is because this is the story where a bunch of Spartans save the Infinity from being taken over by insurgents. So more context. So after Halo, so this is taking place actually after Halo 3. So this is after Halo 4. So let's get again. So what we're talking about here. So this story kind of jumps in time, jumps in different time periods. One, it's post Halo 4 and kind of pre-Halo 4. So the story opens up pre-Halo 4. We have this dude in a wheelchair in front of the UNSC high command, and this guy is Musa. I forget what his number is. Anyway, he was one of the. He was in the Spartan II program. Now, longtime listeners of the show will know that I covered Fall of Reach, and that was the comic book / novel series that showed the origin of the Spartans, origins of Master Chief. So you know that when the Spartans went to be augmented, a good portion of them got medical disfigurements. Some were confined to wheelchairs, others twitch and everything. In other words, they were medically unable to be soldiers. Then they were just reassigned to other duties in the UNSC. He was one of these people. So what they're talking about here is this meeting is about the Spartan program, the original Spartan program, and they're giving the origin of the program, that back when humanity was dealing with an insurrection, they had the Spartans because they figured that they were the only ones that could restore order. They're talking about, so the Covenant showed up. They're talking about now most of the, as far as they know, the Spartans are gone. The Master Chief is MIA. Remember, this is this part. Actually, this part is pre-Halo 4. This is all pre-Halo 4. Misinterpreted that. So then they start talking about there's so many threats still present, such as the resurgent Covenant. There's still a splinter group of Covenant forces that still fight us. They're called the Storm Covenant. Those are the groups that actually fight in Halo 4 and 5. Then you have more of the insurrectionists. So what he's saying is that, hey, we still need Spartans, so I legit made some. Then we cut three months prior to a squad of orbital drop shock troopers. So what ODSTs do is that they're basically the Navy SEALs. So they strap on armor and then they hop in these drop pod things and just are almost like being shot out of a cannon out of a ship and onto a planet's surface. So they'll just burn in the atmosphere, crash, their pods crashing to the ground, kind of like Batman and Arkham Knight, then just move out and do their job. So they're dropping. And this particular ODST we're following is Spartan Sarah Palmer, eventual Spartan. Players of Halo 4 will remember her events. She's one of the most controversial 343 introductions. So then we have this UNSC colonel that's trying to evac the AI. ODSTs come in, but his warthogs are attacked by a brute chieftain. The ODSTs show up and then take care of the brute chieftain through some creative acrobatics from Spartan Palmer. I'm just going to call her Spartan because she will become a Spartan. And what she eventually does is she tosses the warthog. She tosses a grenade at the warthog. The grenade blows up. The warthog flips over because the warthog can withstand hand grenades, apparently. Apparently, the actual damage resistance in the games translates to the actual lore. So, all right. So then Spartan Palmer gets in the warthog and just runs the chieftain over and manages to get the UNSC admiral out, except that she's wounded. So in the hospital, June 8266, Spartan 3. Spartan 3s were designed to be like cheaper to produce and more like just basically cheaper to produce. Now, the interesting thing about June is that he was part of a special group called Noble Team, and they were the group we played as in Halo Reach. And they were like a select, very high tier 1 group of Spartan 3s that and 1-2 that were given the best gear, and they were designed to be like a black ops team. So anyway, most of them except for June were killed in Reach. So June goes to Palmer's hospital bed and basically says, hey, what you do is pretty brave. How would you like to be a Spartan? And what they're showing is that this is the 4th class of Spartans, the Spartan Force. What they do here is, since augmentation and everything has advanced, they decide, let's recruit like the best soldiers, pre-existing soldiers, instead of just kidnapping kids, and just make them Spartans. So then we cut to this location with a bunch of insurrectionists, and they're plotting to steal the UNSC Infinity. Now, then we cut to Spartan Palmer. She's giving like a blow-by-blow, essentially, of all of the different like augmentations that she is given as a Spartan. She's actually given a couple more organs. She's able to like see in the dark. She's able to like breathe in toxins without getting killed. And then these Spartans are being are going through a training scenario against a couple of Marines. So a few of the Spartans get like knocked out, but Palmer manages to complete the training scenario, but by ringing the bell. So throwback to the fall of Reach, when the blue team's first training mission was to ring a bell. And then so then Palmer so then what's interesting is June notes that 4 of these Spartans were taken out by UNSC Marines, and that's an issue there because you're supposed to be Spartans. And then when the Spartans goes, well, okay, but we don't have the armor yet. We don't have Mjolnir. So give us the armor, we can do this. Then June's like, no, you're supposed to be a Spartan without the armor too. And remember this, they didn't get Mjolnir until the Covenant invaded. So, and they had already gone on a couple of operations. And Fall of Reach, again, which is part 2, where they, without armor, infiltrated a Covenant, a insurrectionist base, and stole the general right from under the insurrectionist noses. That's it. So it's not that difficult. So then Muse shows up and says, okay, so you guys actually did graduate, so you guys are now Spartans. So they take them to the UNSC Infinity, and it's that ship right there. It's this massive like aircraft carrier like ship. And then we also have this insurrectionist named Ilsa Zane taking a shuttle to the Infinity, disguised as a repair crew, and they're going to take over the ship and use it for the insurrection. Now what's going to happen, so the Spartans land on the Infinity. They're introduced to Spartan Lasky. They're brought to the Spartan deck, which is like this big, massive berthing space where like the Spartans' armor is like housed. This basically, now the Spartans are their own branch of the military. They're given their very own like areas of ships. This is where the Spartans hang out. It's got everything from like pretty much mess hall, living quarters, and like armor bays and everything. So then the insurrectionists make their move, and then they take over the bridge of the Infinity. Now, what Palmer goes, Spartan Palmer takes the initiative and says, okay, listen, we don't do anything. They're going to take over the Infinity or destroy it. So just give me the armor. So they armor up. Palmer goes in UNSC Scout armor, which we see in Spartan Ops. And then everyone else just gears up. But what's interesting is that June says that Ilsa Zane was the original Spartan IV. The idea was we need Spartans, but without armor. But the thing, she got same augmentations as the current Force, but a few more. It kind of made her go crazy, and so they had to like take her out, or like throw her out, or like dispel her from the program, essentially. So the Spartans fall out and then start to start to navigate the Infinity. They deal with like Ilsa trying to like depressurize Spartan deck, but it doesn't work. So the Spartans basically split up. They have two of the members are going to basically protect Captain Lieutenant Lasky, the ship's senior executive officer, and June, while Palmer and Spartan, I believe it's Shugs, I think it's Shugs, yeah, decide, okay, so actually Spartan Davis, that they're going to breach the bridge of the Infinity from the outside. So they do it like an EVA walk. What I mean by that is an outer space right there. They breach, they engage the insurrectionists in combat, and then they like essentially Zane is essentially thrown out of the Infinity, and the UNSC takes back over, but then she is rescued by implication the Office of Naval Intelligence. What's interesting is then we get back to the modern day, and Musai is essentially saying, listen, if it weren't for my Spartans, you would have lost the Infinity, which is a major strategic loss. This is like the pride joy of the United Nations Space Command. This one super carrier that legit is supposed to strike fear in anyone that dares screw with us. You could have lost that ship very easily. So they said, okay, so here's what's going to happen. Spartans are going to be shown respect from now on. They're going to be their own branch, their own leadership structure, and then the only rank is going to be Spartan. In other words, instead of having like lieutenant or master chief or such, essentially they are just Spartan. That's why if you play Halo 4, Halo 5, you see like Spartan Locke, Spartan Palmer, Spartan DeMarco, or such. So anyway, that's initiation. It's basically the origin of both the Spartan 4 program and showing about the origin for Palmer and showing how they save the Infinity. So that's the end of this comic. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to start to be a little more consistent with the upload schedules for all the different shows on the Comics League. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye now.